these hands over here. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky because they're in front of this fireplace structure. So what we need to do first off is give ourselves a little bit more room to work with. Canvas size will let you extend the image without moving the image itself. So you're just stretching the canvas size. So now we just have a little bit more room to work with. So we don't have to worry about being straight up against the edge there. Now the image is more in the center. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the patch tool. It can be found in the same section as the healing brush. And I'm just going to patch it over here. I've got it set to source. So I'm moving that area and now it's blended with the area below. This is just rough to give me a little bit more room to work with. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the clone stamp for most of this and lining it up so that the center of the brush matches the center of that line. When you're working with lines, it's essential that they match up, otherwise it's going to look totally fake. So you might need to sample a few times before you get it right in the middle. That's okay. Take as many samples as you need. So just brush through it, keeping those lines lined up. Build it up in layers. By doing that with the patch tool, it gave us sort of a foundation of where those lines are going to be. So we can kind of follow that lead. You might need to change your opacity a little bit. So just brush it in. Fix any artifacting. You can just select that area and delete it if it bothers you, or you can wait till the end and crop it out. So now we've got the general area lined up. It's going to need some serious tonal balancing. I'm burning it in and dodging it out where it's too light and too dark. It's going to take a while to sort of balance it out so it doesn't look so patchy the way it's looking here. So we're going to spend a little bit of time focusing here. So now we line it up, line up that brush with the line so that it makes a straight edge. I like this new highlight that the patch tool created, so I'm going to work with that highlight. Just brush it in. Once you have a straight edge sampled, you can pretty much follow that straight edge across. So here we're starting to get some definition back into this area. We're rebuilding it. You can burn and dodge those lines to make them a little bit more defined. Again, you might need to go over it with the color sampler because sometimes the burn and dodge can adjust the colors a little bit. And I want to keep that neutral tone of the fireplace structure there. So just work on building it up slowly, layering it over itself to create these fine lines and definition in the wall here. I like this sort of wavy shape that it's got here, so we want to keep that. So just use the burn and dodge tool to reshape that wall. You can use the clone stamp. Using the clone stamp here set to color to just make sure it's all the same color. I'm going to go in with normal so that it's also copying the highlights and the lowlights. And I just want to blend it down so that it seems like one solid wall. I'm going to go over it section by section, remembering to line it up. So here when we zoom away, we can see we've built a wall here that makes sense. Now we can just sort of fudge this one by copying that white color in the background. We'll just fill it in. Use the healing brush and it'll blend so you don't get those lines. It's okay to go over the edge. That's why we stretched our canvas size, so that we had plenty of room to work with. And then you can just select it with the marquee and press delete and it's gone. Or you can wait till the end and crop it out. So this finger here, we need to get rid of that. I'm going to just select this area so I don't have to worry about going over the edge. It's only working within that selection. And I'm just cloning it out. Now I've got the clone tool set to 100%. And when I burn and dodge here, I'm just filling in that area. Now, this area here, you can go sample by sample and actually clone in and copy what is there, as I'm doing here, building it up and sort of drawing that shape over the finger. Fill in that area, and you're going to need to blend it so that that highlight makes sense when it reaches that other base color. Something else you can try is patching it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy. Now I've put that on its own layer by pressing copy and paste. That section is now on its own layer. I'm moving it and I'm going to warp it so that it fits over that area. Warp is a very convenient way to get something to fit into a space that it doesn't necessarily fit in. Free transform is a great way to manipulate the shape and size of an image. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. Warp really gives you a lot of options here. So you see I'm just pulling on the sides on those little tabs, pulling them out, shifting them around. You've got all the corners give you these little tabs. Or you can just move it from the center of any of those boxes. You can just grab it and shift it. By moving the corner tabs, it kind of keeps it a little bit more to its original shape. So now we've laid that piece on top of there and it is matching up pretty well to the lines. So now I'm just going to heal the corners here so it blends perfectly. We don't want to have any of these lines showing, so we're just going to heal that together here. Another thing we can do is clone it. I'm going to clone it at normal with a low opacity. That way what I'm going over isn't erasing 100% what's underneath it. It's just blending it. Lining up those lines. Again, that's really important when you're working with an image that has lines like this. They have to match up. So we're just knocking out that separation there so it starts to blend a little bit better. I'm going over it again to try and just keep it blending. Now there's some separation here, so we need to fix that, make it look a little bit more neutral. So we're going to burn and dodge, get those lines laid in there so they look like one straight line from one end to the other. I'm just burning it in, following the lines, the ridging of the fireplace here. Changing the shape of the brush. I'm just burning in those lines so that you can see them. Can zoom out a little bit and get an idea of what the rest of the image is looking like here, a little bit farther away. So I can see now this transition here is just too extreme. So if I lighten that area, it starts to blend a little bit more naturally. It's starting to look a lot smoother. So just keep working on it, keep going over it until it starts to feel like it's really coming together. Zoom out and get a feel for it. And now we've removed the hands and we've built the fireplace underneath it, and we're just sort of tweaking it to make it look more natural. So just by burning and dodging and cloning with the help of the patch tool, we've been able to rebuild this fireplace, take out the hands in a short period of time. You can really tweak this a lot, make it look absolutely flawless, depending on how much time you want to spend on it. Just going to blend it a little bit more. But basically it's working.